are. It's another week starting out bright, and I cannot believe it. This is number 30. Now, no one's more surprised than me. And for those who may have been here early on, because I began these in July of last year, Tony was actually on one of the Zoom chats, but we were not recording at that time. So today, thank you, Tony and Beth, for allowing this to be recorded. Really appreciate it. And I will just, in case we have not met before, I will tell you very quickly, my name is Noreen Savage, and I began Brightline Eating. In July of 2019, a short time after I met up with my friend Lori. She had posted on Facebook like a one-day only kind of thing that she had lasted a year on Brightline Eating, lost 57 pounds, and if anybody was interested to just, send her a messenger, and my little fingers went as quickly as they could over to Messenger, and I got a hold of her. And then she proceeded to tell me there were 4 bright lines: no sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and weighed and measured portions. And to all that I thought, absolutely no way. There was no way that I could do that. But as I said, I got together with her, and a couple months later, I decided to give it a try. And really what gave me the willingness was pain. I had immense pain in my knee, my back, my feet, swelling. I was 270 pounds and 5'2". That's a lot of weight. And it's one of the best decisions I've made. I have not looked back. And the one bit of advice that my friend Laura gave me, besides to get the book, she said to get on We Eat Bright with Lines, which at the time was one of the biggest Facebook pages, and I don't even think the official Brightline Eating page was up yet. And I was just in the background for a while, and I would notice and I would see people just dropping weight. But it wasn't like this grim feeling about it. There were people so happy, and they really became just a total inspiration for me. And when I promised myself that if I made it 1 year, I would do what my friend Lori did. I would post on Facebook. I would help anybody I could. And just before that year came up, I felt in my spirit I could do more. Now, understand, last year obviously began COVID, and there was this guy and his wife, Tony and Beth. They were having Zoom chats, and there was just this feeling of camaraderie together. And in my spirit, just before that year was up, I felt I could do more too. If I could just connect those people who inspired me with those who were starting out, if those two could just meet somehow, then you might have the hope that I have. So one of those people who I met early on was Tony Wade. I hadn't met Beth yet, but I eventually did. And so tonight I am so excited to have you meet Tony and Beth Wade. Hey, Tony and Beth, I'm so glad you're here. We didn't get a chance to talk lately, but I understand, Tony, you have a sore throat. You got to watch your vocal cords. So I'm going to be conscious of that. But if you could you bring us up to speed a little bit, whether Beth wants to talk or how you did not begin at the same time. I know that because for a long time I watched your journey, Tony. I know you began May 2019 from our last, Zoom chat. Did you lose all the weight before Beth started? Or Beth, did you begin after Tony lost all the weight?
Yeah, I started May 17th of 2019, and on May the 2nd of 2020, I went on maintenance, and And at that point, I started out at 381 pounds. And when I went on maintenance, I weighed 234. And
Wow.
I've continued to lose. I've lost weight since then. My range is about 220-ish. I did lose. I was about 215. 215 is my lowest, and I've never been higher than 234 since going on maintenance back in May of last year. And Beth, she began.
Yep. Oh, okay. I actually started BLE, Noreen, when you started these. July 1st is will be my BLE birthday.
Wow.
And yeah, I knew early on that this would work, but I also knew myself well enough to know I wasn't ready to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to, put my toe in the water and then things not work out and me toss it on the pile of, well, that didn't work.
Right.
And actually what it took for me was pain. I had an episode of diverticulitis. And if you're not aware, that is an incredibly painful condition. And it feels like something's ripping out your guts. And I'd had one or two episodes before, but it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
I can't do this again.
So,
And I had already changed.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I had already changed my diet quite a bit when I was first diagnosed. There were things I knew I couldn't eat, and I was eating a whole lot more vegetable and fruit, a lot more fiber in my diet. And so I was already kind of transitioning into that direction, but I hadn't been willing to draw those lines and follow them.
No, yeah, I think, Beth, you have a really unique perspective because without going whole in, a lot of times I will hear people on the Facebook pages. I mean, I read it and they'll say, I need to get my husband in this. I need to get my sister in this. I need to get whoever in it. But it's interesting what you're saying. You're waiting. You have somebody who's obviously being very successful in the household. I don't think I've chatted with anybody who's had this perspective as far as really a long time. A year has gone by, right? No, a year and a couple months. So you're seeing the success. Did you feel that, you thought that it would work because you could see that it would work, and it was just totally from past experiences with diets that you waited, or was it just the intimidation of it?
No, there wasn't really intimidation. I actually had a history working a 12-step program for food issues. And so I had some really wonderful recovery doing that. I went down 100 pounds. I changed a lot of how I thought and how I approached the world. Had a major event that affected my brain chemistry, and everything kind of went wonky. And that's when I started fading away from that program, and when I started regaining weight, because I was eating the things that made me crazy.
And they weren't talking about diverticulosis. Right.
Well, and it wasn't until I think a year and a half before I started BLE when I was first diagnosed.
Okay.
So I hadn't had any episodes or anything prior to that. So,
well, as we're talking about, go ahead. My internet can be a little unstable, so I'm not sure if there's a delay at all. But so as we're talking about health here, I know that Tony, you have talked about you had health challenges before, because I've seen some of your posts that, the doctor says what was it, your A1C, or what were you really tracking that you were improving so much?
Yeah, well, what's funny is I just got a call from my health provider saying that they wanted to talk to me about taking some medication that I didn't take anymore. And I was like, well, I don't take that because I lost 160 pounds. And my doctor said, I don't need to take it anymore. My numbers have been great, you know? And so yeah, it was in 2005, I weighed 464 pounds, somewhere around there. I'm 5'16", as they say, 6'4".
6'4".
Yeah, and so so I did spread it around a little bit, but still, that's a whole lot of weight. And so yes, I was technically diabetic. I wasn't taking any medication for it at the time yet.
Okay.
But my numbers were, my A1C was like 7.2, like that,
Yeah.
and it's in the normal range now. So yeah, it really was about health. That was the reason why I was sure I was going to have a heart attack or a stroke, as a friend of mine had a few months before I started BLE. So that was really what it was about.
And I forgot, how did you even find BLE? Did you just happen to see it, or
no, I was in I'm in a different 12-step program, and they do, there's this woman, Jackie, who does these plays she writes, and I was in a play, and we were going to go to Texas to do it, to Austin and Dallas, and I went to talk to her because I didn't want to be embarrassed at the airport having to buy 2 seats, you know. So we're going to do it. I wanted to be upfront about it. Now I'm going to need 2 seats, you know, to pay for 2 seats. So I didn't want to be embarrassed. So I'm talking to her about that. I noticed that she had lost some weight. I asked her what she was doing. She said bright line eating. Of course, I never heard of it. And I said, well, and she also said that men do very well on it. And anyway, so I decided I didn't want to read a 300-page book, not another one. But then I thought that was stupid. So I got the book from the library because I didn't want to spend actual U.S. currency on it. And, you know, and then I read the book and, you know, I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is incredible. This is exactly what, you know, and I knew I had a very similar experience when I read a different book in a different organization. This is going to work. And I was gung-ho. I was so gung-ho, I didn't wait to the beginning of the month or even the beginning of the week. I started on May 17th, 2019, which is a Friday, you know, a Friday in the middle of the month. That's how excited I was to start BLE.
You know, that's one thing I really love to hear, this conviction, because when I started, I've said this before, I got like the 5 science chapters in, and I literally shut the book and said, I'm going to get thin. And I started like right then, like with a chart. I didn't even finish the rest of the book, but I did it kind of wonky that I practiced for 3 weeks. And because I didn't want anybody to know, which is kind of funny, there at the time were 9 people living in the house, including little ones. But I just did not want to do this publicly for some reason, even telling my husband, which is crazy because he's the main cook in the house. But on the 4th week, when I plopped the scale, which I was using a postage scale for the first year and a half, which is so silly. If you're going to start, get a good scale. I got the OXO, okay? I got it for Christmas now. But I was using a postage scale for a year, but it worked, you know? And I was using this chart, like my friend Lori had told me, and it just kept on going. So at what point, Tony, and I'm going to Tony first, Beth, because he's, you know, was the first one. At what point did you say, I know you were going to lose, but was it even when the month was out, or that you knew this was truly going to be a successful program? I mean, was it immediate for you?
Oh, yeah. No, I knew before I started the program that it was going to work. In terms of the science, all made sense. And what I love about it was I was already familiar. I've been to a different 12-step program for food for a while. And so I saw where Susan had taken one of those organizations, support. Another organization's adapted the food plan, and another thing that she added, which is new, was the neuroscience. And put all those things together, And so when I saw that, I was, I was amazed. And then I read her story. I read the stories of case studies of people in the book. But yeah, so as soon as I started doing it, a month before I started walking, I did 389 before I started, the month before. And I walked for the first, for a month for weekdays for an hour in the morning, whatever. I lost 8 pounds doing that, which is nothing to sneeze at. I stopped, I did no exercise thing because I wasn't doing that before when I started ELE on May 17th. And by June 1st, I had lost 14 pounds.
So Beth, am I to understand that you both really, that you both were going by the book then? Or did you get involved with 14-Day Challenge or the boot camp? I know later on that you got into the boot camp, Tony, but this was after you had lost most of your weight, right?
No, I mean, I had lost like 70 pounds or so.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I did that was because, like The Godfather, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Okay, this is really, there's an offer for most people. There's now a scholarship program. So those who want to do the boot camp, it's become a lot more affordable. And I've heard from many that they really recommend it. So Beth, did you do the boot camp too?
I did. Tony had, way back when Tony started, he shared with me the section, I don't know which chapter it's in, but the famous among us pictures of the 4 piles of powder.
Yes.
And he shared with me some of the neuroscience that Susan presents in those areas. And so I knew he was onto something when he started it. But I have to be really careful. It's very easy for me to start doing something because I think I should, or I think someone I care about wants me to, or, it'll be good for me. And that's one of the reasons I waited, because I have a tendency to get resentful, even though I'm the one who puts the expectations on.
Right.
And so I waited until I knew absolutely for certain it was something I wanted to do. And what's funny is I tell people I test drove the food plan it was a week or two before I called my day one, because I decided I wanted to do everything exactly how it was laid out. And so, I signed up for boot camp. Thank God for the scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was set up for that right at the beginning. I was finishing reading the book during that time. And so, there's that day one experience, and there's all the things she talks about, getting your scale, getting this, getting that. And so I put in my orders for stuff. And
you don't get a postage scale, right? You don't?
No, I used Amazon. Oh. Don't forget, we were well into COVID by then.
Oh, right. That's right.
So,
and I'm actually go ahead. I'm seeing people in the chat ask about the scale. I did get an OXO, the small one. I don't know what kind you have, but it's really been great. And guess what? It will measure even a tenth of an ounce. I didn't know that.
He wouldn't share his scale, but that's okay, because I still had the one from when I had been doing 12-step program. Okay. I still had that one. So I just use that. I'll use that one until it dies. But I wanted my own body scale.
Okay.
Because I know it's very easy for me to get attached. So I got one that had an app I could download, and it makes the chart. So lately I haven't been doing a lot of weight loss over the past 4 weeks or so. I've kind of leveled out. But I know it's okay, because I just go back and I look at the chart from month to month, and I can see things are headed downward. And I know that happens and everything. So I'm not terribly.
When you say the chart, what do you mean, Beth? What are
the body weight scale. I downloaded an app from the Google Play Store, and in that app, and it uses Bluetooth, and so every time I weigh, it logs it in the app, and I can go in, and it actually shows a graph of my weight over time. And that's what I was talking about with the graph. That way I don't have to graph it myself, but I still get to look at that downward slope. And it's always encouraging.
Yeah, I have the analog version of that where I have a digital scale, but the analog version is I take a pen and write on my calendar what my weight is. I don't know what charge. Anyway, but real quick about the scale, the food scale. So when Beth finally starts BLE, it's awesome. You know, it's like she started cool. You know, but then one day I go in the kitchen, I'm ready to do my thing, and she's at my spot. In using my scale, and I'm like, excuse me, you're messing with my automaticity. That's my, so she had to use her scale. Stuff we didn't anticipate. You know, I was like, I know this is going to be a problem, but
this is going to be a big problem. Were there other tools that you found helpful? So it sounds like you have a good scale, both the food scale and you're using an app with your other. Are there other tools that you use, or did you take in everything? You know, all the journals?
I did everything that was on the first day thing of boot camp. I already had something I was going to use for my gratitude journal.
Okay.
I already had something that I knew I would use for my food journal, but I ordered a 5-year journal. Again, I already had the one scale. I bought my body scale. I can't remember what it was, but the reason my day one is July 1st is that I got my last item on June 30th.
Got it.
And so the next day was going to be my official day one. It just happened to fall on a July 1st. So yeah, it's been, Tony was talking about his weight loss, and I was 295 in January of 2020. And I was in the 270s by the time I started BLE, but a bunch of that came off because I had been so ill. Because when I have an episode of diverticulitis, I cannot eat anything. And part of me is like, I can't do this again. And the other part of me was thinking, well, everything's out of my system. So why would I want to start back? So I just decided, and like I said, I test drove the food plan, and I have ADD, and I had stopped taking the medication. It's expensive. I wasn't needing it as much, but I still need something, and a very mild assistance is coffee. The caffeine is helpful. It's the opposite.
Okay.
When I don't have my coffee, I am all over the place mentally. It lets me focus. So I'm like, I don't know if I can drink coffee without, cream and sugar, because I drank coffee in my cream and sugar, not cream and sugar in my coffee. So I thought I'd try it, but I don't like bitter stuff, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do that. And I was chatting with somebody at my work through Zoom, and he said, I learned that if you put some lemon peels in the coffee thing, it takes the bitter away. But anyway, I ended up squirting a little lime juice, and I found that I like the taste of coffee just fine without anything in it.
Interesting.
And
wow.
I haven't had any cravings since the first couple of weeks. And I think a lot of it, the reason my experience now is different from what it was years ago when I did 12 steps, is I was using artificial sweeteners then. And I didn't understand that did the same thing to my brain chemistry as sugar does. And so it's just been phenomenal. It's almost 8 months now, and I haven't had any cravings. I've had a few food thoughts, but there have been none of those overpowering cravings or insatiable hunger. And it's been wonderful.
That's
really
great. That was you started July 2020, and now
right.
Wow. Okay, so you are. How much have you lost now from the 295? Or the 275?
Well, during the year 2020, and like I said, I had started the food plan before, and I had already arranged a lot of my stuff, but I was down 80 pounds in 2020, and I'm down to 214 now, so it's about 60 pounds in 8 months.
Wow, I need to get on the stick. Because I kind of hit a spot where I'm now just pushing through to try to get in Wonderland. And I know it's a mental thing, and I've got an accountability buddy, and I've got to just push through it and be determined. Did you get any of that, Tony, at all? Because you've been in this a lot longer. On your way down, did you have any mental blocks at all to keep going?
Well, I was very fortunate in that I met Susan Pierce Thompson in November of 2019. She actually has cousins who live in the city where we live. I mean,
right.
And and I wrote this article for the paper about BLE, and it got to her. She read it anyway. So she came out here, and I met her, and it was awesome. But the most significant. I don't know if it was significant. It was, it was meeting Susan. It was awesome. But she said to me to start thinking about maintenance. Now, mind you, I had lost a lot of weight. I lost like 70 pounds, but I was like 90 pounds away from where I figured I was going to be. So I wasn't thinking about maintenance yet. But she told me to think about it then, and I did. And that was back in, like I said, November of 2019, and to make a plan for it, because that, weight loss is awesome. It was awesome for me. It was awesome where I was, every month I weighed on the first of the month, and then I put it on Facebook. It was like a holiday. Hey, look, but that's not the goal. I used to
wait with bated breath.
Right, but that's not the goal. The goal is to get to maintenance and to maintain it. I've lost weight before. I've done that before and gained it all back.
Yeah.
The thing is to get to maintenance, to maintain that weight. And so having that said by Susan was really powerful for me. So by the time May rolled around, and that was the first time that I had really bad food cravings. I hadn't had any of that. And that's why I knew, and I didn't have a number in my head. I was gonna let my body tell me when it was time to go to maintenance. And so I was having food thoughts. I hadn't lost as much weight as I had been losing. And so the next day I went to maintenance.
Man, and so now you're there. What has been the most significant non-scale victory then for you, besides better health? I'm assuming that. I see all these fun clothing things that you have going on, Tony.
Yeah, well, not having to shop at the big and tall and overpriced store, as I call it, has been. I mean, the awesome thing is that, I went there for years. I mean, I was like Norm on Cheers. You walk in, Tony, everybody knows my name. And that's an exaggeration. That didn't happen. But it was like, they got a lot of my money over the years. And now they don't have my size. I can't shop there anymore.
But is there some like body dysmorphia? I mean, that's a lot of weight. I mean, to lose that much, I went into the store to buy socks, and I was just stuck by looking at the mannequin thinking, wait a minute, I used to wear that size and I'm only halfway there. And I thought, this is not right. I just feel like I don't even know what size I'm in. I know what number I'm wearing, but I don't in my mind know, I can't imagine losing that much weight. And then, your whole closet's gone and you're just constantly shoveling out clothes, right?
Yeah, for the most part, whenever I couldn't wear something, I got rid of it. I donated it. Except a couple of items. I cut all my Raiders jerseys are way too big. I'm not getting rid of those. But
I tell them jerseys are supposed to be too big.
Yeah, but they're not huge. But yeah, I kept the pants so I can do the mermaid or merman picture where you put two legs in one and all that stuff. But for the most part, because what had happened before was I put it in the closet behind us. And I put it in this closet, my fat clothes. And then, I remember in 2019 when I was, or 2019, I lost my weight. I gained it back. I couldn't wear my clothes. I had to go into the fat closet. And it was so, some of I'm not judging anybody, but you may have been there before. And
so 2019, you gained it back. 2019.
2016, I lost a lot of weight.
And then you gained it back.
By 2018, 2019, is when I gained a lot of it back, more and more. So
when was the episode with the broken chair that you just posted the last few days? Was that
that was years
after
ago.
you
No,
gained?
that was a long time ago. It was at
Okay.
I can't remember. It was at an event. But I mean, I remember it distinctly, and that stays with you, So then you're like, okay, wherever you're going, you're looking at the sturdiness of the chair. Is it going to hold me? I weighed, almost 400 pounds, and so it was like, you go to a restaurant, you want a booth or a table? I mean, come on, table.
Right.
Really going to ask us that?
Or if they ask, do you want one of those high-seated tables? I'm thinking, I've been at those tables where I had to stand because I would lose all, I would lose all leg movement or anything. When you posted the chair thing, it reminded me of our class reunion. My husband and I were high school sweethearts, so we graduated the same year. We had like a 20th class reunion or something like that. Now, mind you, I had been slim. He still is slim, but I had been slim and then all of a sudden gained like 100 pounds very quickly. Well, right after that was this class reunion, and Tom and I were sitting at a table, and the guy across the table says, Tom, who's that? Who's with you? And I'm like, okay, David, I didn't like you then and I don't like you now. I'm joking around, but I realized later, I don't think he really knew who I was because of my weight gain. It didn't dawn on me how different I did look. I thought he was just being like a jerk, like goofing around classmate, But that, you say about the broken chair episode that it stays with you. Oh, yeah, that stayed with me because I really, it was in my face right there at a table with everybody around, and someone really didn't recognize me. So, yeah, those things I look forward to going reverse our next class reunion,
Okay, I have a reverse for you.
Okay.
Tony is I know his 3 living brothers, and only one of them has been fairly normal size. All the rest have been very large, and of course he was really large. And so his youngest brother, Scott, is the one who has been a more normal size. And so I used to see him walk past me, and in my peripheral vision, it's like, Scott? Yeah, him, Tony. Tony would walk past me. It's like, Scott? Because I had never seen Tony that size. He is smaller now than he was when we married, and that he's been our whole marriage. And I'm creeping up on getting smaller. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And my highest weight was 380. I'm not 6'4", I'm 5'10", but that's a whole lot of weight to carry around. And, when I started BLE, one of the things I was really expecting and didn't happen was a relief from my joint pain.
Oh.
And it didn't happen, and it didn't happen. And it was sometime last month that I realized my knees and my hip don't hurt all the time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really took me 6 months before that started to take effect. So just in case anybody else has heard the whole, oh yeah, within 2 months I was pain-free, my joints didn't hurt anymore. Well, some of us, it takes a little bit longer.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you say that, Beth, because I'm in that category too. Mine was not overnight. I still have a little bit of swelling in one foot. I mean, I still have 70 pounds to go. But I actually had throbbing pain in my legs for a while, and I think it was the detox. I had never had that experience before, that it woke me up during the night. And when you were saying about the sugar-free in the other program that you were talking about that? I had an episode with thinking I could add, you do your own experiment, thinking I could add sugar-free gum to my daily routine, because who doesn't want fresh breath, right? So I got a whole pack at work out of the vending machine, and I take one, and then I take two. I'm finishing the whole pack before I even get home. I'm thinking, oh, that's weird. It's a one-time thing. I'll try it again tomorrow. I do the same thing. I cannot chew this gum fast enough. It's just like, this is craziness. And by the time I'd get home, I would be so hungry. I'm like, okay, this really is messing with my brain, that the sugar fix, it's actually wanting a sugar fix. I don't know the technical term, but it's in the book. You're getting this fake response, but you're not getting the goods. So I had to quit the sugar-free gum. Go ahead.
When it comes to that whole thing with the artificial sweeteners, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing that the thing that I missed the most initially when I started doing BLE wasn't like, the stuff you'd think. It was sugar-free mints. Right. I had these sugar-free mints that I ate. I had those things all over the place. I had all of them in my truck. I had some here, and I found some months later that I always had those with me, and I found myself driving to San Francisco sometimes, and I'm reaching for it, and I go, oh, that's right, I don't eat those anymore. But then one day, I happened to realize, you know what? I haven't done that in a long time. It took a while.
It was months.
Yeah, it took a while. But I mean, of all the things you could,
right.
Miss, I had to miss sugar-free mints and the kinds of things.
Yeah. The last time that we talked, I'm going to just put you on the spot, Tony, because you were very open about it, about being what is called a crystal vase, a crystal vaser. Are you still a crystal vaser? Meaning, for a new person, that means you've never broken your lines.
I prefer, and this goes to if you watch the video that Susan has, the crystal vase and the teddy bear and the crystal vase. Mm-hmm. It talks about having a crystal vase.
Yes.
Not being one. So I am not a crystal vase, but I have one. Yes. And my thing with it is, because there's a reason for that though, because it's not about what I am. It's not about my identity. Because if it does break, then what? If it breaks, well, then in BLE, you're unstoppable. But if you're a crystal vase, you've internalized that to where it's your identity, and I don't know.
I love that. You know what? I saw that vlog, but you're talking about it right now changes it from what I remembered. Okay, so let me repeat that to you. So what I'm hearing you say from the vlog was not to say I am a crystal vase. Because if I say I am, meaning I have to be perfect. Is that what she's saying?
No, I'm not putting words. I'm just saying that when she actually talks about it in the video, she talks about having a crystal vase, not being one. She never once says that in the video, in the vlog. But a lot of people do that, and they put it on thinking, I'm a crystal, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want. But for me, I don't do that. And for me, it isn't really about that. For me, it isn't about that. For me, it's about one day at a time, right now, February 25th, 2021 at 6:09 p.m. Pacific, right now. Right now, I'm going to stay bright. That's what it's about. The people say, oh my God, I can never eat sugar and flour for the rest of my life or forever. Well, life does not present, my experience, life doesn't present itself that way. It presents itself one moment at a time, right now, here with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I may go off tomorrow. I have no idea. But right now, I'm not going to. That's the way I've been doing it.
And that actually brings me to a point of, you've had, obviously, a lot of fun with, there's a fine line, and maybe it's the same line, between entertainment and service, okay? And that's what I see with the both of you, that you can have fun with it. You can think out of the box. You can have fun with it. But there have been times that I've seen you really get serious about, hey, this is not right, or this program has saved my life. And I'm putting it in a perspective of that kind of integrity, I'm never going to not appreciate it, that it's given me my life back. So I mean, that is like in the whole mix of having fun. That's what I see in you. Is that how you feel too, both of you? That I'm taking this seriously, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Well, we were doing the festering. We do a thing called the festering resentments, where we've done for another organization for almost 19 years, but we adapted it to BLE. And at the time, when we first started, Beth wasn't even doing BLE.
Right.
Yeah. But
he was a good sport.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, I can't do it myself, and
it's fun.
But the whole thing of it being the reason why I can do all that stuff or want to do that stuff is because of the fact that there's recovery. There's that joy, but I take this very seriously. Oh yes, if Beth had never done BLE, I'd still be doing it.
Right.
I mean that was just, it didn't. I mean, once I read and I saw that this is going to work, and then I saw how it did work in actuality. And here's the thing: in the book, when Susan says the words "I promise," and she says those a lot, and one of these days I'm going to go through and count them, how many times she says it. Every single time, I almost get choked up every time I say this. Every time she says "I promise," has come true for me. Every single time. And so I trust that her experience and the experience of others. I trusted at first that it was going to work, and now I have my own experience of it working.
So for the benefit of someone who's brand new here right now tonight, what are a couple of the promises that she made that you fully received?
Well, I've got one right off, and she talks about the insatiable hunger and the overpowering cravings. And she says, yes, it's really hard, especially when you first start doing this. But she said, those feelings will pass, I promise. And she's right, they passed. I was very fortunate because I didn't have them from the time I started, but that's because I got so sick. I hadn't eaten much but broth in about 5 days. Yeah. So that's one of the things. I'd have to look. Do you recall?
That's what I was talking about. Was really in the automaticity and getting
yes.
doing this stuff, and how like your taste buds changing, all this stuff. Like yes. I was like, get out of here. And now I eat food that I would never eat before.
Well, let's talk about automaticity for a second, because I think that's a sweet spot. And for those who are new, I really would love to have your explanation of it, because there are no words to being able, to me, I again, tonight, I ate a little early because we were doing the Zoom, and I had a hodgepodge of food. As my friend Barb here would say, it's maybe not the conventional dinner, but I know when I'm sitting there in front of it, this is exactly the right amount. It's in the right portion. I'm fully satisfied when I eat this meal. But can you describe what automaticity really, how you get there, Tony or Beth, for the benefit of someone new? Because I think this is such a big piece of this program.
Yeah, it is. And for me, it was a very big deal. As I mentioned earlier, I have ADD. And so I can very easily do something and then an hour and a half later, not even know if I've done it or not. So one of my favorite tools, she calls it the nightly checklist. For me, it's my day-to-day checklist. Because if I don't mark that I've done something, and if you're not familiar, she talks about it in, can't remember if it's the book. I got more of it from the boot camp, but a set of things that you do. She suggests you meditate. She suggests you do an inspirational reading. I just took all of it. I jumped deep into the pool, and so I put it on my phone. I have an app, where I can keep notes on my phone. And so I have it on my phone, and I mark off what I need to do that day. And as I do it, otherwise I won't remember. Like, if I didn't have my thing, I wouldn't know if this was my second or my third bottle of water today, because It's just something I do. And I have always fought against structure. But for me, the automaticity was enhanced and strengthened by using that checklist of things. The meditation helps. I chose to go in the direction of mindfulness meditation, but it builds in, they talk about it builds in a pause between thinking something and doing something. And that made a huge difference for me. And that has become automatic too. I don't think, then do. I think of something, but I don't do anything right away because I assess, okay, is this good? The other thing with the automaticity is weighing and measuring my food. I don't think about how it's going to take time. For me, what has worked best and what I may never change is I don't just plan my food the night before. I plan it, I prep it, and if it's not something I have to cook and then weigh, I weigh it. And so I'll have my breakfast, lunch, and dinner all set up waiting for me. Dinner, I don't spend as much time because I work full-time from home. So dinner, I have a little time if I need to measure something out or cook my fish or whatever. But the automaticity, and for me, again, it's not just one thing. It's the fact that I call it scaffolding. And I used to be a teacher, and I get it from educator and teaching, where when you're teaching somebody something, you provide scaffolding. You give them a framework for thinking of it and so they can take it in and understand it better. So for me, the food plan, the checklist, and the 4 lines are now the scaffolding around my life. And I extend the metaphor by saying, I'm building a new house practically, and okay, so maybe I went in and painted before. Well, now I'm scraping off the plaster and spackling. Well, I don't have to worry about these different things I'm doing because I have the scaffolding. I have that framework. Yeah. And here I am, someone who has always fought structure and not rules, but structure and
doing it the same way over and over.
Yeah, structuring and scheduling. I didn't like it. I didn't want it. And in some ways, I still don't. But when it comes to the food and just life, I feel so free. I don't think about food unless I'm eating or I'm prepping. And I have all this time. And she talks about it in the videos in the boot camp about be prepared to have a lot of time to do stuff. Now, with me, it's more mental time. Okay. Because I'm very, very good at relaxing and chilling and just playing a game. I'm very, very good at that, which is another reason I have my checklist, so I don't forget to do the stuff that's good for me that I need to do. Yeah. But all of those things together are what gave me the automaticity. And I'm personally thankful that I got ready to do this during the COVID pandemic because it takes me a very long time to develop a habit, to set up automaticity. She talks about how some people can do it in I don't know how many days. It's like 14 or 16. And then the average is like 30 something and average is 66. And then some people it takes 270 something days before they can establish one new habit. So I always look for silver linings. And for me, the silver lining of this COVID year has been I'm in a home where, thank you God, we only have BLE compliant food. I live with one other person who is well established in this program. And I don't have a lot of food being thrown at me like with commercials. And I don't watch TV much at all. And when I do, we usually watch it recorded so that we can fast forward through all the dumb commercial stuff. So I've been insulated, and I was actually waiting at one point thinking, man, what's going to happen when things open back up? How am I going to handle that? And I talked to my mastermind. Oh, that's another thing. I got a mastermind group. I have a buddy. I was talking to my mastermind group saying, you know, I think about it every now and then. It's not driving me crazy, but I think about it every now and then, and I want to be prepared, but I don't want to like talk myself into ending up in the ditch, as they say. Mm-hmm. And one of them was brilliant. And she said, that's what you're doing right here. Maybe it was a Zoom call. I don't remember, but I try and get to a Zoom call, a live Zoom call every day. And if I can't make it, I set aside time to listen to something from the boot camp or some other video, you know, that's 30 minutes or more.
Yeah. Well, that is one thing that I really I want to thank you both for, because I believe you were the first ones who started the Zoom calls during the COVID, because I was on those calls. I needed that support. And I thought, if there is a silver lining with COVID, that is it, because the camaraderie with people from around the world, not just we're in the US, but around the world, and like-minded, still going through struggles. But I would be on a Zoom call, and I think you'd give like 5 minutes or 3 minutes with a little timer for everybody to speak for a moment, however many you could get to. And, you know, there were the ups and the downs, but by the end of the call, I felt that everybody was a little bit more pulled together, and just by grace, we're going to hang on. And I just want to really give you some kudos for that. But if you could just mention, I put some on the slideshow, but you have a number of great Zoom calls going now. And for those who are interested, there's just something for everybody. Do you want to talk to that for just a second? I know we're getting close here.
Yeah, and I do want to. I didn't start the Zoom calls. Cindy Norsworthy had a Zoom call, and I went to hers, and I started to do them kind of catch as catch can. You know, I was like, I put it on Facebook, and I tried to do it around Susan's schedule because Susan was doing a lot of stuff at the time, but that wasn't working. So, and it really helped to have regular meetings. And so, so anyway, so there is a meeting every day now. We have a lot of people who are doing them, and yeah. Anyway, but I just want to say real quick, I did see, I want to say hi to the Williams. I've never met them. I did watch I couldn't make it last week, but I did watch the thing, and I am not the godfather of BLE. As cool as that sounds, that is one of my favorite movies.
He's not Italian.
I'm not Italian.
Well, there is the question from Manu who says, have either of you incorporated exercise? And I'm going to get to a few more of these questions really quickly.
I haven't. I'm waiting until I'm transitioned through maintenance because I have so many issues with my joints. I'm going to either wait until then, or if the pools open back up, I like doing, it's aqua Zumba. It's the, Zumba, but in the water. So music, water, I'm happy. Nice. So, but I'm waiting until that happens, or I'm well into maintenance.
I walk 3 times a week. That's what I do. And I have some weights that I do sometimes, but not much. I'm not really worried about that right now. But yeah, that's all the exercise that I do. And I started that in February of last year. And then I went whole food plant-based actually in February of last year as well.
I had done 10 squats a day since March of 2020, starting with COVID, but I had to stop about a month ago because my back was hurting. So I think I just have to, I have to just go with what my body's telling me. Tony, do you use anything instead of your sugar-free mints?
Yeah, BLE food.
No, he doesn't. No, you don't. You only eat at meal times. Yeah, he doesn't snack at all.
Yeah, I eat BLE. I eat BLE food. That's why I don't have anything. Yeah.
What the big NSV, non-scale victory, must be for you is not having to buy 2 airplane seats.
I had a trip I was going to on last July that got canceled, and I was so disappointed. I wanted to go to this thing, but one of the parts I wanted to do was to go in the plane and sit in between 2 people. I was like, I'm going to find a spot. I'm sitting in the middle,
Oh, Mercy Rice was on here a few weeks ago, and she was saying that would just about choked her up the first day that, she didn't have to have the extender. I related, I remember being on one flight where I didn't have an extender. I didn't have my seat buckled. It was all hidden underneath and nobody asked questions, but I was conscious of it the whole time. While we are getting close to end, and I don't want to leave without you giving you a chance. If somebody was starting right now, or they're, at a point, maybe they stopped and they're looking for this moment of hope, what would you say to them about getting back into bright line eating?
For me, it would be what Susan says. I think it's in the last week of the boot camp, but she talks about being unstoppable. You don't ever have to start over. And that's a major issue for me, because if I totally fail at something and I think I have to start over, I won't. I'll start something else, but I won't start over. And the fact that she said you don't ever have to start over, just resume. That would be the first thing for me. Be unstoppable.
That's what I was going to say. There's no shame here. I have a getting games team, and there's Robin who's on our team, and we are the 9 Wonder Woman and 1 Superman, and we and if someone has to put a 0 down because they weren't right that day, there's no shame involved in that. Right. There's no judgment involved in that. It's not like other organizations I've seen, I'm aware of, where if you have a break or whatever, you're not allowed to speak in meetings and all that kind of stuff. Ain't like that here. I have a meeting on Wednesdays that it's 12 steps and 4 bright lines. And in other 12-step programs, I've heard where there's a certain amount of whatever you have to be able to speak there or chair there or whatever. That's not. I don't have that. We don't have that here.
If someone hasn't been involved in a 12-step, would that be appropriate for them to come?
Absolutely. It's open to anybody in BLE.
Okay.
All the meetings in this schedule are open to anybody who wants to come to them.
And I'll be posting them in the Starting Out Bright group that's been working out. So, you talk about being unstoppable, and Christy here posted something about the crystal vase. I just want to read through it quickly. Thinking on the crystal vase, for those who use that label but had a lapse, remember wabi-sabi, beauty and imperfection. In Japan, when a piece of valued pottery breaks, instead of tossing the pieces into the trash, craftsmen practice the 500-year-old art of zingzuji, or golden joinery. This is a method of restoring a broken piece with a lacquer that's mixed with gold, silver, or platinum, which results in a new piece that's imperfect but highly valued. I think that speaks volumes for what we're trying to do here. We just hold ourselves into that piece of beauty, because we're all on a journey we may have what we think is imperfect journey, but it's perfect for us right now that we have to experience this. That's just as in, I am so grateful for the pain that I had. I had to experience that to actually experience the joy I feel by being this far into where I am. So, any last words, Tony and Beth?
Yeah, you were talking about a journey, and I actually bought this. I needed a new water bottle, and I bought this one, even though it's not purple, because it says happiness is a journey, not a destination. And I've heard that before, and I know it intellectually, but it helps to have it in front of my face on a daily basis over and over again. And I'm loving my journey. I'm loving my life. For the first time in my life that I can recall, I don't have any if only this, if only that. There's no ifs. I love life right now.
Awesome.
And here's my Zoom hugs for those of you who know me from Zoom calls. I always do Zoom hugs.
Right back at you. And Tony, any other last words from you?
Just keep doing the deal. Just show up, and because you're not alone. What I've seen in these meetings, and look, I'm a guy. And we call ourselves unicorns here because there's 4% of people in BLE are men, and we have a men's group, and it's wonderful. but none of that matters. The reasons why we overate, the reasons why are the same. The circumstances are different. Our body chemistry is different. There's going to be differences. But we get it. This is our tribe. This is our people.
It sure is.
It's good to see you guys.
It's our family.
Our
FAM capital BLE, family.
I love it. So thank you so much, Tony and Beth.
Thanks,
what you have added to the community, joy, and a lot of common sense here tonight, too. A lot of good stuff. Thank you so much. And who knows? We may catch up later on again, right? So I'm going to say goodnight as I do each night. Thank you all. There are a lot of thank yous in the chat. Thank you, every one of you, for being here. And good night. Stay bright and don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody.
Thanks everyone, for being here.
Thanks, everyone.
Very encouraging for us.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Stay safe.
All of you.
Take care, everyone. Thanks again.
So awesome.